I'm really grateful for you taking the time with us. You know, before we hop off here, because I know hey, you've got things to do, and I appreciate you taking the time with us. But you got to tell me, I mean, you really seem to have this special resolve. You know, you really seem to have been a determined person. F for really the majority of your life, from everything I've read about you and going through what you went through, being Pat's caretaker, and then, with the business, and then getting the diagnosis, throwing your hands up, then finding Bredesen, then having the gumption to go out in 6, 7 months, seek him out. Where, where does that come from? Where do you think that level of motivation
I
and
don't know.
determination comes from?
My friends tell me I'm very tenacious. I don't know if that's an insult or a compliment, but when my book was ready to be published, I didn't want to publish it without Dr. Bredesen taking a look at it first. And I was hoping that he would leave me a review, which he did, and he left me a great review. Uh, but I lost contact with him for like over a year. He changed all his email addresses. I guess he was just getting inundated. But I didn't give up. I kept trying to get a hold of him, trying to get a hold of him. A couple of my friends said, just publish the book, just publish the book. And and I went through it. I don't know. My parents taught me that if you can visualize something, you can do it if it's good for you. You can do it if it's bad for you.
Yeah.
and I watched them. They were entrepreneurs, and they created a newspaper out of nothing, and no advertisers, no printer, no nothing. And within 6 weeks, they had a newspaper full of advertisements before the paper even came out, and uh, and it's still being published like 60 years later. So
Wow.
60, yeah, 60. They don't own it anymore, but it's still coming out every week.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm lucky. I don't know. I guess I'm lucky.
I mean, there's definitely some determination. There's a lot of indomitable will in there, and we can all learn from that. You're an inspiration in that regard, and um, we can all take that in. It's definitely a muscle we can all train, especially with something like this, and especially with so many. What I've heard is in neurology, there's this kind of there's this term diagnose and adios, and we definitely got that. And, you didn't get the greatest news. And there's a lot of people who, unfortunately, I've gotten the call from other people who've gotten the diagnosis and say, what do we do? And it's a tough hit to take. Um, but definitely having someone like you write a book and then do an interview like this and set that example, it helps people definitely get into a different mindset to take this on a different way. So thank you for that. And my last question for you, Frank, is, for anyone out there who they've heard about the protocol, or they're just hearing about it right now, but they're skeptical, and maybe even the neurologist has said, and this is something that our neurologist said, is they said, hey, this is something that's brand new. It may not work, and you're going to waste all this time and potentially money, and you have no guarantee. I mean, for somebody who has some skepticism and some reservations, what would you tell them?
Uh, I would say that you need to know if you're listening to this interview and you're worried about your own cognition. I want you to know that mine didn't happen overnight. It came up gradually, bit by bit by bit. But when it got bad, it got really bad really fast.
Yeah.
And one thing Bredesen is very clear about: the earliest you start trying to treat this stuff, the more likely you are of a positive outcome. And And the other thing I just want to say in regards to your other question, why was I so tenacious about this? When your brain and your life are online, it can be an inspiration to get off your ass and do what you can do. And
Yeah.
I was just lucky that I ran into the information by accident. By accident. Like when I moved to Mexico, so we could have round the clock care for me. Not that I was going to run off to California and find out that I could change my whole life.
Yeah.
So if you're skeptical, it doesn't cost that much to change your lifestyle. You start where you can start. Dr. Bredesen says that all the time. Start where you can start. Can you exercise a little bit more? Can you take a little stress off your load? Little things like that. Try itty bitty bitty to start eating better and see if you don't notice a change.
Yeah.
And my wish for everybody on this interview is that you have the same outcome that I did. And as I say that, I know it's likely that not everybody will. But if you jump on it quick, your odds are infinitely better than if you just postpone and wait because it's progressing day by day, hour by hour, every day God sends.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
oh, there.
That's it. That's great. That's a great way to close it out. And no, I mean, what you're talking about there is so important. And the way I look at it is the more of us join the protocol, I'm doing the protocol myself for prevention. And so is my wife. And, the more of us that join the protocol, it also helps all of us because it gives Dale, it gives Bredesen and his team more data to work with, and the more data they have, uh, the faster the insights can be gained, and it benefits all of us.